What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? We are back for part 2, y'all, of our conversation here with Kenton GIbbs here from Locked On Wolfpack, baby. And if you haven't checked out part 1 yet, make sure to go and do that first and foremost, and then come right back here, y'all, where we continue on with this conversation about NC State football, y'all. So, Ken, kind of one thing which I want to mention, being a former player, I really wanted to get your thoughts on this. I'm sure you've talked about this, but I mean, I haven't heard it from you yet, and so, I want to ask you personally, man, but a lot of talk has been coming on about the boos of Brandon Armstrong. Mm-hmm. And again, I mean, I know with you, Ken, I mean, you're a lot like us where, hey, listen, at the end of the day, just like you said on the last episode about Porter Rooks, hey, listen, man, like, I'm not going to talk about you bad as a person. I'm not going to talk about you bad. But then, day, listen, if you're falling short, I mean, I got to call like I see, and I got to say, hey, you're falling short. And at the end of the day, I'm sitting here with Brennan, and I'm saying, listen, you haven't played great. Now at the end of the day, can we talk about, has he gotten the best shot? I'm not sure. You're looking at the game plan between UConn and Notre Dame and those guys, and then seeing what MJ got, against Marshall, a little bit different there. But again, obviously, a lot has to come down with the fact that he just came into a tough situation because the fans and obviously even some of the players wanted MJ Morris to be that guy from the start. It's obvious. Like, it's so obvious. And so, and then he comes in for 2 plays, immediately gets booed. And, of course, people say, we're booing at the coaches. And I'm saying, okay, some of you maybe were, but I'm also sitting here saying you guys from the get-go and for the longest time have been chanting MJ's name, have been saying, put MJ in. But yet, when Brennan comes on and you boo, you're going to say, well, it was at the coaching. And I'm saying, well, okay, you can say that, but I'm also saying, obviously, the players took it the way that most of us see it, which is that you're booing at Brennan. And for me, I'm sitting here saying, hey, listen, there's a paid aspect to it for sure. I get it. Now it's more of a business than it was when you played, Ken, when I was a part of the program. I get it. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is a guy that it really impressed me, the fact that Doeren really, made a statement saying that Brennan during the offense meeting during this previous week said, I want you guys to go play hard for MJ. And I'm sitting here saying, bro, like, that guy right there, that is phenomenal. I love that. Yeah. I love that. Your captain, even though this is his, because that's another thing which I have to remind everybody. This is last year. This is it. There is no tomorrow for Ken, not for Ken. There is no tomorrow for Brandon Armstrong. Like, this is his last year. This is it. So, like, I mean, I would not be upset with him whatsoever if he's, throwing stuff, being really upset, because I get it. Because he, 2 years ago was talking about being a first-round draft pick, and now here he is, getting benched 5 games into the season for, a true sophomore quarterback. I get it. But he's still saying, I want you guys to go play for MJ. And listen, I have no issues with them saying, hey, listen, Brennan's a guy who is not afraid to take contact. He has a better running ability than MJ so far, as of right now, what I've seen Brennan compared to MJ. Yes, so I have zero issues with them using Brennan when, like, in short field situations or in goal line work. I have no issues doing that, because I'd much rather Brennan go take those hits than MJ. So, like, I'm sitting here saying, if you love MJ, you should have no issues with Brennan coming into the game, honestly, because that helps keep him healthy. That helps keep him from not having to take those hits and getting injured. So again, I have huge issues with that, man. I really am interested in your thoughts, being that you have that former player side, man.
So let me take you back to let me give you a little history lesson to before NC State for me personally. Okay, down on 2nd Avenue in Detroit, Michigan, there's a school called Cass Tech. All right. We play some pretty good ball up there. All right. Now, we won the first ever Division I state championship in the history of the city of Detroit, and the next year we come in thinking like, oh yeah, we got it made in the shade. We're going to dominate everybody last year we lost a couple games. This year we running the table. That's just what it is. First game, we come out and get punched in the mouth by Farmington Hills Harrison. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, when we get punched in the mouth, all of a sudden, all these fans that loved us and were all at the press conferences and wanted to be everywhere and all that good stuff. Our next game, the attendance was sorely lacking, right? Yeah. And then we go on a winning streak, win about 5-6 games, and then we play our rivals, King High School, and then we lose again. And the next game we played was at Renaissance, and the stands were virtually empty. Now, granted, it was pouring down raining, but still, this is not no small operation here. Again, first ever Division I state championship in the history of Detroit. And all of a sudden, nobody's there anymore. Let's take it forward. Let's talk about me in the red and white. Now, my first year here was the 3-9 year, right? Tore my Achilles that year. And my first ever walk of champions was against ECU. And it was still people there, people lined up and all that good stuff and, shaking kids' hands and all that good stuff. And then ECU whoops the wheels off us. And we're hearing the Pirates, we're hearing the Gold Pirates or whatever chant it was.
Purple
ECU,
Gold, yeah.
Yeah, black. There we go. I couldn't remember it because it really was.
Drown that out.
Yeah. But the reality is, fans will be fans. And I got to be consistent because on Locked On ACC, I laid into Phil Dracovic for saying, if you're a grown damn man and you're coming to boo me, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm going to say the same thing to all the players that are coming in to defend Brennan. Listen, I get it, but Brennan has played poorly. He has played so poorly that these fans, you have to understand what these fans go through. Because as a player, a lot of us don't really put into context. Some of these people waking up at 4:30, 4 in the morning, going to work for 9, 10, 11, 12 hours. And then they get off work, they come home, and they switch into their Wolfpack gear after a long shift of doing whatever they do, because we know we're an ag school. We're a hand in the dirt school. We're the people who get those degrees and then go do soil science, meaning you're going to come home with some muddy boots, some dirty hands, all that type of stuff. So you do that, and then you pay however much money to get a wonderful seat to sit 50-yard line to watch your quarterback overthrow double coverage in cover one. When there's a fade on the outside. With all due respect, you have to understand them booing. And again, put fans in that place of, I love the fans. The fans are important to what we do. But at the end of the day, and this is with all due respect to every Wolfpack fan, every Wolfpack alum listening to this, forget everybody but us. That will be the best thing in the world when we win. Will be the worst thing in the world when we lose. It's not the fans' job to make us that, to celebrate us regardless of what we do. It's the fans' job to continue to show up, continue to support, continue. If you heard a boo, that's a good thing. If we had a crowd like some of these other schools where it's like, oh, we lost 2 games, nobody's going to come to the games now, that would be the problem. So if they want to boo a little bit, hey, I'm not mad at it. The Boo Birds came out, and at the end of the day, had he scored a touchdown, I tell people all the time, the good book says love covers over a multitude of sins. Well, let me tell you about the book of football. Winning covers over every sin.
Is there a chapter for overthrowing?
Do you think that if we were undefeated right now, do you think anybody would be booing Brennan if we were undefeated?
Nope.
If Brennan had 25 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, do you think anybody would be looking up saying, oh, God, not Brennan?
Nope, we'd be chanting Brennan for Heisman.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my case is resting peacefully. It's sleeping like a baby.
But the other 2 things which I would add to it, first of all, is that I think you can still see that the issues are still far and beyond Brennan. Yeah. The fault is way beyond just Brennan. And I'm sitting here saying that, and again, this might be just me with, the fact that I, being part of Tuffy Talk, see a lot of, college football, what goes on with college football, NC State, AC in general. And I'm sitting here saying, like, in today's culture where with social media, there's a lot of self-focused athletes. You know, like there's athletes literally saying, I want you to pay me money for me to come do an official visit. Yeah. Like in a world where they're literally just to come for an official visit, I want money. Like, and then you have a guy here who once again is in a really, really bad situation in the fact that once again, just like I said, it's his last year, things didn't work out, not necessarily, completely his fault. And, and he's still willing to say, hey, listen, I want to do what it takes to help NC State win. I want to do what's best for NC State. I mean, he's a guy literally when he got, per Doeren, that when he got told, that he's not gonna be the guy, like, he didn't, fight back. I mean, I'm sure he fought back to a point, but not such to the point where he raised all hell,
he
saying,
didn't
okay,
take his
listen,
ball and went home.
Exactly. Like that has to be admired or understood. The fact that I'm saying that the shift in college football in terms of what I look at as what I respect has changed a lot because there's just so much, self-centered focus that this guy is the exact opposite, even when faced with the worst situation possible, staring at him right in the face. So that's my 2 cents. Greg, I want to get your sense on this, my man. Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout Eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on the Kenton train here. Like, fans pay their money, they can do whatever they want to do.
Sure.
I feel like it is up to the players to define how we act, if that makes sense. I am not the kind of guy that boos. That's just not my style. These are young men that are still trying to figure things out in life. But I don't have a problem that folks that do. It's just not my style. Was it warranted there at Brennan? I don't think so. I posted a clip that I actually was taking a video. I mean, he didn't have a chance on that play unless, again, unless he had made maybe a better pre-snap read. Maybe then he could have figured out where he was going with that. But I mean, Marshall came on a blitz and he just ate that ball. I mean, he didn't have a chance to get it out. So the best play was to eat it and take the sack instead of throwing it and either getting an interception or probably an intentional grounding, because he just didn't have a chance on that play. So if you're going to boo, I would say booing the play call would make more sense. Obviously, it looked like MJ was injured a little bit, so it was necessary to bring in Armstrong in that case. From what I've heard, I don't know. Do you have any? Go ahead. It
was more because more likely in practice he has not gotten much experience snapping under center.
Right.
While Armstrong does have that experience, so I think that had a lot to do with the fact that Brennan had the experience snapping under center, MJ doesn't. So it's like I'd rather go with the guy that I trust, especially there at the goal line. So
But was that under center though? That one play that he got eaten? I thought he was
both of them.
Was it both of them? Okay.
Both of them were.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll say this, in terms of Brennan and whether or not he was, the problem, whatever the case may be. Think about it like this. If you're broke, right, you go broke tomorrow, your mortgage is still due, your car note's still due, you still got all the light bills still due, all that good stuff, right? Your Netflix being due is much smaller than those other things, but it's still a problem. It's still something that you got to account for.
Oh, yeah.
You do not want your quarterback being something you have to count on the bill ledger when you're broke. You want him to be counted. You want him to be counted on the side of, hey, this is that friend that sent me $100 because he heard I was down on my luck. That's where you want your quarterback to be. And with all due respect to Brennan, he was not the problem. There are problems outside of Brennan, outside of the quarterback position, but he was not a part of the solution either.
I agree.
He was not. And watching the all 22 of them play, there were so many times where I'm just like, what are you seeing? Yeah. I want to be a fly on the wall in that quarterback room for like the explanation of, hey, this is what I saw. This is why I went there. This is why I tucked it. This is why I didn't go here. I would love to be a fly on the wall for it, because there were so many moments where it's like, again, our wide receivers and pass catchers, well, actually our tight ends have done a good job. I don't care what nobody says, but our wide receivers have not been phenomenal this year. Absolutely.
Right.
Our offensive line has not been stellar and just whooping tail and giving him pockets that he could make a sandwich, call his mom, call his old lady, and then throw a pass in. That hadn't been the case. But with that being said, in the time that you do have, if you're averaging as much, if not more time, because fun fact about Brennan Armstrong, he's actually ahead of the national average in terms of time to throw per drop back. And that excludes, bubble screens and all that like would reduce that time exponentially.
Drop back passes.
Exactly. True drop back or play action. He has more time than the national average. So with that in mind, again, I'm not saying that, hey, fans should unload on him and he's the only reason that he's not the one that allowed an 80-yard run to Audric Estime. He's not the one that allowed a 70-yard run to Roses. He's not the one that, just completely bungled multiple 2-3 exchanges in terms of sending a tight end vertical in on the corner. He's not the one that bungled that. He's not.
Yeah.
Right.
but he is the one that threw into, for the one interception that we talk about that bounced off KC's hands in the Notre Dame game. You could also talk about him throwing to a double covered flat that didn't get picked off, which for sure, if they catch that one, this Katie D's at the doorstep, parade inside the end zone full of golden helmets. So, I understand the idea of the players rallying around their brother and saying, don't boo him. Hey, I get that. I'm not mad at that. But it is what it is, man. If he's playing well, nobody boos. That's just the reality.
But the only thing which I ask is that going forward is that at the end of the day, when he comes in, he's coming in with the one goal, which is to get points on the board and help make this team win.
Yeah, he's not trying to sabotage.
So when he comes out, that's the only thing I ask is I get at the point when he was starter that you're not happy. But going forward, you should just look at him as another piece. You shouldn't judge him based on the first 5 games of the season. This is a guy that is now a piece, not the main piece. He's not taking MJ's starting job unless MJ goes down, knock on wood, but he is a piece now to try and help the team win and help keep MJ healthy.
I agree.
But I'll throw this out there. If he has a negative play, they're going to boo. I mean, that's just the way it is now. The precedent is there because MJ has come in and that you've moved on. And in fans' minds, it's like, I don't want to see Brendan at all anymore. He had his chance. He's done. The MJ Morris era is now. And that's just the way fans are going to see it.
And the worst part of this whole thing, we played an FCS team and put up 45. And in MJ's first game as starting quarterback against a team that's on a 9-game winning streak, we put up 48. That's the reality is, as much as we can sit here and lambaste the fans until we're blue in the face. Obviously, y'all would turn blue much quicker than me for some pretty obvious reasons. But the reality is the fans are not – there are some fans that are hardcore into it, watching the games that know ball. The average fan is looking at that box score saying, now, wait a minute. This guy started for 1 game. He put up 48. This guy started for 5 games. He got past 40 one time, and that was against the FCS team.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's just the reality. That's just how certain fans are going to look at it.
Can I get another I rest my cases? Because you're exactly right.
I mean, listen, we might have to call the My Pillow guy to get him to get my case of pillow because the case is going off the la-la land at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, again, for me, it's more of not necessarily saying that no fan should boo or no fan can boo, whatever. You can do whatever you want, but it's kind of for me saying kind of the same reason where I'm so, pushing the Doeren, the fact that I know there's always been people saying that they don't want Doeren to be a head coach guy. We know it. There's plenty of people on Twitter that will agree to that. But then if I could just say I made one person, accept Doeren, instead of wanting him to be fired, then hey, listen, I'm a happy man. Then it's just a reminder. Just keep in mind kind of those things, So
here's what I tell people all the time. My rule on Locked On Wolfpack, Locked On ACC, Locked On College Football Live, I don't do fluff pieces. I don't do hit pieces. I tell you what I'm seeing, what I am seeing. I'm gonna tell you. And I've told people that Doeren has raised the floor of this program from what it was. But now it's time to raise the roof. And if you can't in year 12, 13, 14 raise that roof, I'm not mad at people for saying, hey, you know what? We've given this enough time. It's time to make a splash hire. It's time to go put something into this thing to inject some new life into it because 6 games is fun. 8 games is fun. 9 games in the big upset is fun. Championships are fun. They're the funnest. They're the fun. Oh, I'm telling you.
They're needed.
There is nothing. I have only felt one experience better than winning a championship in my entire life, and that was delivering my beautiful niece, Clarrington Claire Rose Gibbs.
Oh, I
love you, Carrie. That is the only experience I've ever had that felt better than walking off the field at the end of the season knowing I'm a champion.
You're a champion. Amen to that, Ken.
And not a bowl game champion, because bowl games are important. Don't get me wrong. They're good. They're great. I mean,
conference.
I mean a champion to say, there's only but so many people that get this type of championship. There's a select few. Power 5 championship, that feeling there, I'm not going to lie and say I've experienced it because I didn't, right? I spent more time on surgery tables and in the cold tub than I did on the field. I acknowledge that. But there is no better feeling in my life except that one of delivering Carrie that is better than putting a ring on your finger at the end of the season, walking off knowing that you made your seniors proud if you're an underclassman, walking off knowing if you're a senior, this may be the last time that some of us play football, but I'd be damned if we didn't go out right.
There you go.
That's true. Amen to that. Well, Ken, thank you so much for joining us, man. Really do appreciate your time and your insight, man. Really greatly appreciate it. Always a pleasure to have you on. We'll have you again here on once again soon, my man. And then for all of our followers here, make sure again, go give Locked On Wolfpack and check them out, man, on YouTube and wherever you can get your podcasts, and make sure to go give a follow on social media at LO_Wolfpack and give them a follow there. And for us, make sure again, if you haven't already, hit that free subscribe button, hit that notification bell, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. With that being said, we'll see y'all soon, and go Pack, y'all.
Go Pack.